He who will make his own liberty secure must guard even his enemy from oppression, for if he violates his duty, he establishes a precedent that will reach to himself. Thomas Paine. Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers, and thinkers of the Reason to this podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date, Tuesday, May 29th, 2018. Yeah, so I decided to do another episode. And, I had to do a little tweaking on my Yeti mic. Pretty good stuff. Plus, I know there's a lot of noise background my last episode, but came out pretty lot better than I had before. So I'm very thankful on that. Good investment, and just see how long can it last, right? Yeah, so right now I'm at Squiggy's Pizzeria, 207 Southwest 2nd Street in the Hemishi District of Fort Lauderdale, from 11 a.m. to 4:30 a.m. 6 days a week. So come on down, check it out. You won't be disappointed. Of course, you got people in the background here as the pizzeria, but they let me do my show, which is awesome. And tell them, look what the third sent you with Craig. You know who I am. Yeah, so it's interesting. People talking about Tommy Robinson, who's been in prison for contempt of court. And there was a lot of claims that was going on. People still call him Islamophobic and phobic because he was actually addressing on some of the stories pertaining to groups that are Islamic by faith are actually using trafficking children. And the bigger kick to that is the British government had knowledge and Islam may be involved. Well, I'm not going to go Islam bashing because it's completely irrelevant, because there's even I did a couple shows on the Wahhabia, I hope I pronounced that right, Muslims in Myanmar, and they were being persecuted, tortured, and beat on too by the monks, which is very strange. And a lot of them fled to Bangladesh. And that's why when it comes to witch hunting, by all means, it's completely unacceptable in my realm. But you always have criminal elements in these particular bunches, claim that there's something. That's why I always say you gotta always beware of the jack-o'-lanterns, the puppets, the stooges, the fakes. They're all around. So always have to be vigilant in your surroundings and paying attention and doing your homework and not jump on this collective bashing bandwagon. And I always say that in good faith. And I don't really know Mr. Tommy Robinson personally, but the stuff I've been looking at, and even some of his past show videos where he's questioning, he's getting beat on and so forth. Now he's calling out the pedophile ring, which you have governmental agents, including elected servants in the parliament themselves. And it's been going on for at least 3 decades, but no one had really talked about it. And of course, a lot of stuff I heard about this vaguely, and of course I read some of the stuff from David Icke, and he mentioned that the child pedophile rings in Britain, in the towns of Essex County, Yorkshire, and many others within Great Britain, Scotland, and beyond. A lot of sick puppies out there. So I'm not going to say just go Islamic bashing or go Christian bashing, anything like that, because how deep does the rabbit hole go, my friends? We don't know. I don't even know for sure. So this main idea, we got to protect the children against all forms of tyranny. And this is why when people believe you got to leave your security eggs in the hands of the government, you're being duped, punked, or swindled. So I'm going to be talking about that. I'm going to be talking about one more of a past investigative journalist. I will call this another chapter of the war on journalists, where they're going to prison or being dead. It just happens. There's many journalists have been killed in Russia and Mexico, and of course we all remember Michael Hastings too, from Rolling Stone magazine, when they said, his vehicle crashed into a tree. And can you explain why the motor was 50 feet away from the burning vehicle. Okay, so a lot of questions has still been unanswered. You can say conspiracy theory all you want, but when you got folks actually have merit and evidence saying, nah, it's not alone, someone's not like slipped off the stairs and died and anything like that. So I'm going to be talking about that. So we're going to start talking about here on Tommy Robinson, who was jailed for independent, jailed after breaking contempt of court laws with Facebook Live video. And it's by Lizzie Dearden. And like it reads right down here, Tommy Robinson has been jailed for 13 months for breaking contempt of court laws with the Facebook Live video. His sentence can be revealed for the first time after the Independent and the Leeds Live fought a reporting restriction put on the case at Leeds Court Crown. Robinson, whose real name was listed on court documents as Stephen Yagsley Lennon, was arrested outside the court on Friday. He had admitted committing contempt of court by publishing information that could prejudice an ongoing trial via live stream on his Facebook page. At one point, the video was being viewed by more than 10,000 people as Robinson attempted to film defendants entering the court and discuss the case, which is subject to a separate reporting restriction. The judge initially banned media reports of contempt proceedings against Robinson over fears it could affect the ongoing trial, but lifted the order on Tuesday after hearing submissions that members of the public and foreign media outlets were publishing inaccurate information. Supporters of the far-right figurehead have protested over his imprisonment, and there's a train coming by. Probably all folks can hear that. Supporters of the far-right figurehead have protested over this imprisonment and the reporting restrictions, using them to claim the establishment was attempting to silence his views. Donald Trump Jr., the U.S. president's son, shared a tweet from a Robinson supporter with the comment, "Don't let America follow in those footsteps," while foreign politicians, including Dutch leader Geert Wilders, have called for his release. A Free Tommy protest is being planned for London's Whitehall on 9th of June, while a petition to free him has reached almost 500,000 signatures, and assistants have directed supporters to donate money for legal fees online. Robinson made clear that he was aware of the restrictions during the live Facebook video, as well as in danger of being jailed. The 35-year-old was already subject to a suspended sentence for committing contempt during a rape trial in Canterbury last year, and had been told if he fell foul of the law again, he will go to prison. There's a reporting restriction on this case. The former English Defense League founder said, "I have to be super careful, you see, because when I was coming to these court cases, part of what police did was they dawn raided me and they put me on a contempt of court charge, which would mean I could face prison." Robinson first broke contempt of court laws, which aimed to safeguard the judicial process and stop trials collapsing over fear the jury has been swayed in May 2017. He was prosecuted for attempting to film defendants at Canterbury Crown Court, despite notices stating the move is illegal all over the buildings, making a clear distinction between legitimate journalism and Robinson's activism while sentencing him. Judge Heather Norton said this contempt hearing is not about free speech. This is not about freedom of the press. Woo! Okay. Then we'll just continue on here. It is not about legitimate journalism. It is not about political correctness. It is not about whether or one political viewpoint is right or another. It is about justice. It is about ensuring that a trial can be carried out justly and fairly. Judge Norton sentenced Robinson to 3 months imprisonment, but suspended the sentence for 18 months, meaning it would not come into effect if he committed no further offenses. After his lawyers claimed he was ignorant of the filming ban, you will now be under no illusions whatsoever as to what you can and cannot do, she said at the time. If you commit any further offense of any kind, what will include a further contempt of court by similar actions, then that sentence of 3 months would be activated, and that would be on top of anything else that you were given by any other court. Britain's first leader, Paul Golding, and Jada Franzen were jailed for religiously aggravated harassment over their actions during the same trial. When they filmed and harassed people they incorrectly believed were involved, posted offensive leaflets, and shouted racist abuse at a family home. Their actions indicted the prosecution of 3 men and a 17-year-old boy who were jailed in September for raping a 16-year-old girl who had asked for directions after taking her to a flat above a kebab and pizza restaurant in Ramsgate. Robinson previously raised fears in Finsbury Park terror attack trial would collapse after he live-streamed interviews with journalists before the verdict was handed down. Prosecutors and the former head of National Counter-Terror Policing said his post had radicalized Darren Osborne, who consumed Robinson's post and other far-right material as he plotted to ram a van into Muslims. Robinson formerly broadcast his activities on Twitter as well as Facebook, but was permanently banned from the platform earlier this year. He co-founded the English Defense League, EDL, in 2009, has been arrested numerous times during demonstrations and at fights between football fans, as well as being jailed for mortgage fraud in 2014. Despite claiming to have made friends with Muslim prisoners during his time inside, he attempted to found a British branch of a German anti-Islam group, Pegida, in 2015. He later became a correspondent for Canadian right-wing website Rebel Media and has started his own site. Robinson had been increasing his international audience by working with members of the American alt-right and ethno-nationalist generation identity movement, whose leader had been prevented from entering the UK. So there's a little interesting thing about what's going on with Tommy Robinson, and sometimes you always got to look at these sites and how accurate this really is. And the whole thing I got to look at when he's focused on the child sex rings, okay? That's a real hot topic right now, all right? Especially in England. That's why a lot of people are protesting under that from all the walks of life. So they're really, a lot of people right now are not too pleased what the British courts have done. And many people may not agree with Mr. Robinson, but if something like this could happen to them, that's what's called a domino effect. And you're talking to an individual who's not even impressed with Richard Spencer from the alt-right, okay? Give me a break. There's even a claim from Alternative News, I think they're based out of Australia, New Zealand, he's not even full-breeded Aryan or white European. The guy's nothing more than a glam boy. And I heard his rhetoric, and I'm not really too impressed. But the whole thing is, too, a lot of people, like, the biggest mistake was what happened in University of Florida. All blame him for the death of that one bystander at Charlottesville. And all these kids, oh, it's your fault, it's your fault. It's like, you don't know the bigger picture. Start doing your homework. Like I said before in my past episodes, blood's on the hands of the city of Charlottesville, Virginia, not Richard Spencer. But like I said, I'm not impressed by this man either. So, but one of these areas people have to really look at is mainly the child pedophile ring, child trafficking. Because even I was looking at stuff, InfoWars and all that too, and like I said, it's a big, huge issue. Not just in Britain, but around the world. In the United States as well. So, like I said, you've got to really look at all these areas. And that's what I call it, the war on journalists. So we're going to hit this next one here, because he was barred from the Independent again. He was permanently banned from Twitter. EDL founders' personal and news pages are suspended, and it came out today as well. And it says here, Tommy Robinson has permanently banned from Twitter, EDL's founder personal page, and another account that appears to be associated with him have been suspended and are inaccessible. When asked him about the ban, Twitter cited its hateful conduct policy. The policy prohibits the promotion of both violence and incite of harm towards others on a number of grounds. Social networks do not respond to questions about the specific reason for the ban. The Independent has contacted Tommy Robinson for a comment. Robinson's real name is Stephen Yaxley Lennon, left the EDL in 2013 but has remained politically active. He was suspended by Twitter earlier this month before having his account reactivated. He was also a number of right-wing figures to see his verified status removed in November after Twitter has issued new guidelines for blue tick accounts in the wake of public pressure. Robinson's Facebook page remains intact with some 700,000 fans. In February, the ongoing head of UK anti-terror policing said there was no doubt material posted online by Robinson had contributed to the radicalization of Finsbury Park mosque attacker Darren Osborne. He had grown to hate Muslims, largely due to his consumption of large amount on online far-right material, including as evidence as court. Statements from former EDL leader Tommy Robinson, Britain First, and others. Metropolitan Police Assistant Commissioner Mark Rowley said Osborne had a dysfunctional background and history of alcohol and drug abuse and violence. There could be no doubt that extremist rhetoric he consumed fed into his violent abilities and turned into violence. So, just other ordeals as well. But one thing I gotta say, when it comes to free press, that's I guess one of the reasons why you gotta look at, my friends, see things in the bigger picture. And like I said before, hey, I have not praised. I love posting stuff like that, and I get people to think, and they go, "Oh, you white supremacist!" You, I said, "No, it's freedom of press, freedom of speech. I always believe in those natural born rights. It's happening to other people as well. And what's going on in England is affecting everybody. And even England's, according to Britain's freedom press, is like freedom index on the press is like horrible. Let me just check on here. I want to check this out right now. I'm going to look this up right now. But I read a little article on this. I'm like, wow. Because they're all being suppressed. There's things you can't do, you can't say, can't speak, can't even wipe your rear ends. But one of the areas you have to really focus on is the order really want to benefit from this? Absolutely. They got one here, World Press Freedom Index, RSF. This is from 2018, by the way. And let's just see what Britain has to say. Reporters Without Borders, freedom of information. And when it comes to hold on, we're trying to get the United Kingdom here. According to this rankings, Britain was ranked 40 out of 180 countries, and the United States is ranked 45, and that's not good when you look at it, especially when it comes to those whole areas. So this is from Reporters Without Borders, and when it comes to free speech, I'm going to add this to the footnotes so you folks can read it, and you could look around and all those as well. So I'm going to put that in there. And some of a worrying trend, a continued heavy-handed approach towards the press, often in the name of national security, has resulted in the UK in keeping the status of one of the worst-ranked Western European countries in the World Press Freedom Index. The government began to implement the Investigatory Powers Act, the most extreme surveillance legislation in UK history, with insufficient protection mechanisms for whistleblowers, journalists, and their sources. Home Secretary Amber Rudd repeatedly threatened to restrict. What the hell? Come on, where are you, baby? Plan to restrict encryption tools such as WhatsApp as announced plans to criminalize the repeated viewing of extreme content. I'm trying to get this confounded thing going. What the heck here? See what I can do. Come on, let's just check this out. So, let me see here. right, let's see here. Well, there's actually some pretty good stuff here. So, but the United Kingdom has a lot of some issues when it comes to free speech and free press. And that's why, my friends, you gotta look at the whole world in a different place. Because you know why? Because what's gonna happen? You're gonna be burning yourselves. You know what I'm saying? You got some customers coming in here, so that's all well and good. But yeah, man, in Britain, very interesting going on in Britain here. Score 23.25. I wish I could get a little more on this confounded thing, right? Hold on, I'm gonna find out here. Shoot. Yeah, so talking about section 40 and all that, and I can't really get in that. Why? How come? Do I have to be a... Yeah, but definitely can look this up. It's really a shame what's happening over there. So, the United States is ranked 45. I told you something too, man. Yeah, freedom of the press, First Amendment. Only if we like it. Let's check this out. What the United States? The United States is ranked 45. United Arab Emirates is 128. Wow, that's a lot. So we'll just check that out. Well, I definitely want to leave this on here so you can read for yourselves. And even right here, it went from 43 to 45. And U.S. freedom of the press is trying the First Amendment. Yeah, so I'm going to check. Hold on here. It's from freedompresstracker.us. So things here. Interesting by the United States. In 2018, there have been 2 journalists arrested, 2 equipment seizures, 11 journalists attacked, 11 subpoena of journalists. Woo. Nice. Definitely want to put this on my memo. But, yeah, so interesting. So definitely, folks, guys should check this out. So I'm going to keep this in my memo, too. You can look it up. You can just share the information. But definitely I'm going to add the Reporters Without Borders. It says here Trump exacerbates press freedom steady decline. Ooh. So, that's why I tell everybody this. I support freedom of the press, period. Okay? No ifs or buts. And even that's why I always tell folks, hey, I could take the initiative on doing this on my own. So, come to free press. Even Jamaica's press is like ranked number 6. So, a lot of other countries, China and all that, they're horrible. I'm going to add this to the memo. And speaking of freedom of expression, this is from Section 9 of the Constitution of the United Kingdom. And I like what it says here. Everyone has a right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media, regardless of frontiers. 1. Restrictions include official secrets, civil defamation, criminal libel, obscenity, sedition, incitement to racial hatred, and contempt of court. So they got him for contempt, supposedly, right? 2, there are legal remedies against defamation. Fair comment on matters of public interest may be a defense. Prove that the alleged defamator matter is true or is also a defense. In the same way, frank discussion of sexual problems is not considered to be an infringement of the law on obscenity. 3, there is no state control or censorship of the press. Okay, so I want to step this back now. There is no state control or censorship of the press. foreign language papers are freely imported. British broadcasting is based on the tradition that is a public service accountable to the people through Parliament. Television and radio services are provided by the British Broadcasting Corporation, which is BBC. Other operators are licensed individually by Independent Television Commission, ITC, and the Radio Authority. Responsibilities of these public bodies are set out in legislation. The government itself is not responsible for program content or broadcasters' day-to-day conduct of business. The independence of the broadcaster requires them to maintain certain standards regarding programs and program content. Under the relevant legislation and the codes of practices applied by the broadcasting authorities, programs must display as far as possible as a proper balance and a wide range of subject matter and impartiality in matters of controversy. There are also rules relating to violence and standards of taste and decency in television programs, particularly during the hours when large numbers of children are likely to be watching. Broadcasters must also comply with the general law relating to obscenity and incitement of racial hatred. According to the 1991 European Agreement, cross-border broadcasting programs may not be indecent, contain pornography, give undue emphasis to violence, or be likely to incite racial hatred, nor should programs unsuitable for children be broadcast when they can be expected to be watching. Theater. There is no censorship of plays. It is, however, a criminal offense to present or direct an obscene performance of a play in a public or private. Such a performance is defined as one of which, taken as whole, tends to deprive and corrupt persons who are likely to attend it. There is a defense against an obscenity charge on the grounds that a performance is for the public good in the interest of drama, opera, or literature. That's number 7, so hopefully I have recalled that. 8. Films and videos. Video. Government has no power to censor films. Cinema are licensed by local government authorities, which have a legal duty to prohibit the admission of children under 16 to unsuitable films and may prevent the showing of any film, although this particular power is hardly ever exercised, and assessing the suitability of films. Train coming by. Authorities rely on the British Board for Film Classification, an independent non-statutory body to which films offered to the public must be submitted. It's interesting because they have one area on political rights as well. Like it says here, number 1, everyone has the right to take part in government of this country directly or through freely chosen representatives. Alright, so it's interesting about that, right? How cute. So, those are one of those areas you gotta really look at. And the funny thing about it is they push some envelopes, and of course, Britain's not the mainstream news is not really endorsing this. Are putting everything hush hush behind closed doors. That's the question about people who are so-called Islamophobe. But when you got the government, they say, hey, we'll screw everybody regardless. So the whole thing is how complex it is, how deep does the rabbit hole go? I wouldn't be surprised one bit, because we know, a lot of us know for sure that there's a lot of fishy things going on in the political realm of Great Britain, and by means too, child trafficking, which is a disgusting or abhorrent industry. And even illegal immigration is a big issue in these areas as well. Just to give you guys a heads up. So, am I going to be Islamophobic? No, but just people claim that they're Muslims and they're going to go around taking child trafficking, using them, and rape and pillage. That is totally unacceptable regardless. So I'm not going to go attack a religious organization collectively. That would be the same people who go after the Christians, because when some guy in the name of Christ shoots someone at an abortion clinic, and they all think it's all Christianity. I heard this stereotypical collectivism before, so it's nothing really new at all. But it's an interesting claim about Mr. Robinson. Here's one here. It's from The Spectator. some British newspaper, and it's written by Alex Massey. The claim says here, Tommy Robinson, a Zionist puppet, neocon fraud, and a Wahhabist stooge. Let's see what Mr. Massey has to say about this. This came out 8th of October 2013, so it's a little bit of an archive, can we say, correct? If you ever want to laugh, read the website of Britain's collection of far-right political groupings. It is worth knowing, so if only to remind yourself that the threat from right-wing extremists is often rather exaggerated. These people's relationship with reality is neither firm enough to threaten public order nor coherent enough to win them, more than a relative handful of diluted followers. Keep an eye on them by all means, but let's not make them out to be more than they are. After all, whenever the far right does enjoy some success, that success quickly evaporates. The public, when has a chance to see these people who for what they really are, tend to disapprove the cut of their respective jibs. And rightly so, because for all that one reasonably despairs from time to time, the British people are collectively a pretty decent capable of frowning upon and then rejecting extremism of all sorts. So I suppose some credit is due Tommy Robinson, erstwhile leader of the English Defence League, for leaving the organization, as he put it. I acknowledge the danger of far-right extremism and on the ongoing need to counter Islamist ideology, not with violence, but with better democratic ideas. He explained his motives for leaving, telling BBC Radio 5 Live's Nicky Campbell, when some moron lifts up his top and he got the picture of a mosque saying boom, and it's all over national newspapers, it's me, is when I pick up my kids from school, the parents are looking at me, judging me on that. And that's not what I stood for. And my decision to do this, to be true to what I stand for. And Willis, I want to lead the revolution against Islamist ideology. I don't want to lead the revolution against Muslims. So it looks like he's trying to stay here. Like he wants to keep Britain with their cultural stance and all that. And what he's seeing, they're going to try to change the whole livelihood how Britain is, because you got folks out there trying to be nannies in all different avenues too, and so that's what I'm looking at right now. And I'm seeing this in respect. Doubtless, somewhat will soon claim that this makes Robinson more, not less dangerous. So be it. I have no idea whether Robinson's Catholicism is prompt this come to Jesus moment, but we can all welcome a sinner's repentance nonetheless. If Robinson feels the need to distance himself from neo-Nazis and other thuggish racists, then perhaps we can remember to treat the English Defence League as the unrepresented bunch of goons and cranks they really are. They do not endanger the realm. But for sure, unadulterated fascist moon battery, you have to tip your hat to the British National Party, procured, no doubt, by EDL's ability to win attention previously devoted to BNP. Nick Griffin's party released what might just be most laughable yet entertaining release of the year. Tommy Robinson, you see, is just another Zionist stooge. Not only that his departure from the EDL means Britain's lively counter-jihad street protest movement is at a crossroads. Lively, the sort of that is PR speak for Friday night in Clearthroat. But that as it may. Recently, however, growing resistance to Robinson's pro-Israel and pro-immigration agenda have seen groups such as the Scottish Defence League, Casuals United, and various active infidel organizations take a steadily higher profile, while the EDL has been losing ground. What's so funny about infidel? Infidel means they don't believe in a true God. So I'm just trying to, has nothing to do being not agreeing with Islam, but it's like, just like so mind-boggled. It really means not, a true believer of a true God. So it doesn't matter. So it's like you're more of an atheist, to be very frank. I'm a Christian, but I'm an infidel. What the hell does that mean? It doesn't coexist. So I'm going to continue on here. The Quinlan Foundation is run by ex-Hizb Tartar extremists who are not taking a gradualist Fabian approach to Islam in Britain. They are therefore financed by both Wahhabi Gulf states and by the British government. Wahhabi Gulf states, they're talking about Qatar, possibly UAE, and Saudi Arabia, okay? So, what to look at here, my friends, and by the British government. Also, what he's saying here is part of the New World Order agenda. They are also closely linked to the same Neocon Zionist elements that we previously exposed as backing Robinson. So, if he hasn't changed masters, though they are now calling a different tune. There are two reasons for this. One, with the chance for war in Syria and Iran suddenly much weaker, Tommy's puppet masters no longer want the white working class fighting mad. Two, they also realize they are losing control of the street movement they created, so they are trying to kill it. First, by passing vicious sentences on infidel leaders in Liverpool last week, and now by having Robinson and Carroll turn their coats. This effort will fail. The white working class, who make up the vast majority of the street counter jihad movement, do not need Zionist outsiders to organize and make an impact. We can call on all genuine EDL members to join in with the infidels, SDL, etc., and ignore the traitor Robinson. A British Resistance Council should be formed to coordinate future activities. I know we're supposed to take things seriously, but really, there comes at a point at which these ravens cease to be threatened and instead topple into self-parody. If I have this correct, which may not be the case, Jews, Wahhabis, and Neocons are in fact allies. There's almost something impressive about this kind of treble think. It could be alarming if it weren't so obviously risible. And again, remember this sort of thing next time the press has a hissy fit over the prospect of far-right resurgence in Britain. These are the people who are going to be leading it. That's the question. Pull the other one. Publicity is not their friend, you know. It is rather toxic to them, for it unfailingly reveals them to be what they are: pre-brained bigots, fanaticists, and conspiracy theorists condemned by their own press releases. They cannot prosper or prosper for long because of who they are and what they think. Why is almost if the MI5 were running the show themselves in an effort to discredit the whole movement. But with the self-parodies like this, the commands there, there's no need for MI5 to be involved at all. So it's an interesting little thing about this. And I just get a big kick out of these articles. But one thing, like I said, about the man may have some rough edges. I'm not going to argue with them on that. One of the areas I always tell folks when it comes to free speech and press, yeah, like I said, I post stuff like that. You know, I post something on there from Grant Garrison on Tommy Robinson, and it's, you know, some people may find it the other way, but how I am, like I said, I look things in a bigger picture. So we gotta look at things when it comes to child pedophile rings, and he maybe has some charlatan edges, but if those facts are straight, which a lot of us have, many of us have been doing our homework on this and trying to dig in and see how deep this rabbit hole goes. So you gotta commend him for that, because remember, he's a father as well. So you don't have to agree with this man completely, but if he has the courage to call these people out, all right, everyone in Britain should do the same thing, whether you like the man or not. Because what's going to happen, your freedom of speech and press can be toppled, and they may find it threatening, or it may be critical. They may say that, oh, well, it's civil defamation, you know, or criminal libel, obscenity, sedition, incitement, racial hatred, and contempt of court. There's some restrictions, but they may use that at you to really water it down. Now, that's one of the areas like I tell folks about this whole thing. Yeah, so that's what I say. Fight for the principle. It doesn't have to be the person, but the actual principle. That's one thing I always focus on myself. You can make your own judgments. That's all well and good. Because one thing I know for sure, my friends, if you don't support someone's rights, even the ones you're not friends with, it can come and haunt you when least expected. So yeah, free Tommy Robinson, regardless if you like the man or not. All right. So speaking of journalists who were murdered, I remember I did talk about. Oops, this one I just saw this on the Guardian, and about Caruana Galizia family at war with Malta after journalist murder, and Mark Brown's art correspondent. It came out 1 day ago. And it says here from Reuters, it says the family of murdered Maltese investigative journalist Daphne Caruana Galizia have had a little chance to mourn her death because of continuing intimidations, threats, and lies, according to her son. Paul Caruana Galizia told the Hay Literary Festival in Wales that it felt like the family was at war with the state 7 months after his mother was killed by a car bomb near her home. Caruana Galizia worked for 30 years as an investigative journalist looking into high-level corruption cases. At the time of her death, there were almost 50 lawsuits against Caruana Galizia, 5 of them criminal defamation cases. The remainder were civil libel suits. Some of these have been dropped, but 34 remain against her estate. Daphne Caruana Galizia, okay, that's a photograph on there. Paul Caruana Galizia told the festival that threats and misinformation had continued after her death, according to one rumor that a bomb was planted by his brother. All 3 Caruana Galizia's sons have left Malta and continue to highlight the case. It is a war, Paul said. It really should not be like this, but we can't rely on the investigation to be run properly. We just can't sit back and think that things are moving. Another story being circulated in Malta was that Caruana Galizia was investigating criminal gangs, not government, which was nonsense, he said. He was joined on stage by Maltese journalist Caroline Muscat. What the family has had to face is absolutely horrendous, she said. They had not even had the time to mourn the loss. Muscat said the government continued to intimidate and threaten journalists who were investigating and publishing things it did not like. The only truth is that of government, if anything, has redoubled its efforts. Criticism of government in Malta has become a very dangerous thing. One moment here. Sorry about that. I got to do a little swap. All right. We have a situation where there is an almost complete dominance of public disclosure and narrative by the government. Anyone who continues to fight that is discredited, dehumanized, and Daphne is the accumulation of all that is wrong with the system. Richard Jolly, the editor of Index on Censorship, says he was shocked by what was going on in Malta, a country in the European Union under the Commonwealth, and where so many British people go on holiday. Outsiders have got no idea that's all happening underneath, he said. Muscat encouraged visitors to Malta go to Caruana Galizia's memorial at law courts to light a candle, speak to people, and challenge ideas. We have a certain lack of awareness and education on what our rights are. BBC Europe editor Kate Edler, who chaired the discussions of the Maltese government, denied allegations of threats and intimidation. 3 men have been arrested on suspicion of detonating the bomb that killed Caruana Galizia. They have all pleaded not guilty. Maltese government has said the investigation into murder has continued. The question about the motive for the attack remains to be answered. Interesting there. So they got some people arrested already, but the trial it's got to be a lot more proof than that. I know I talked about this, and I was real critical too about criminal elements in the Maltese government. I'm not saying everyone in the government in Malta is bad, but you're always going to have this rogue agents. So that's one thing you got to look at too, my friends. So that's why I've been saying for a long time about the war on journalism, the war on investigative journalists. People are getting killed. People are been thrown in jail, whistleblowers and all that. And it's, you know what? It's a sham. They're making these lame-ass excuses to tell the state can tell you, we know better than you how to do your job. And that's one thing that's disheartening. So one thing you got to look at for sure is anyone that comes here, stay focused, be vigilant, stay consistent, have an insurance policy ready, because one day these parasites, wherever they are, criminal elements from all multiple avenues, will be stripped naked. That is all I'm going to say. I thank everyone for listening, plus feel free to download and share throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or even something that's interesting you may want to check out, whatever you do, please address your correspondences with decorum. You keep me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, Minds.com, FutureNet.club, Patreon.com/Local3, Gab, GAB.ai, Yours.org, and you can hit me on BuddiesList.co. In addition, you can email me at localluck3@gmail.com or to your encrypted one, special to Proton Mail account, localluck03@protonmail.com. Woo, okay, that is all for now, my friends. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that the demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.